For joining us today at the Enterprise Lithuania webinar regarding the situation in Finland. My name is Audrius Masilionis and I'm commercial attaché in Helsinki. I would like also to thank our partners, SULI, the Finnish-Lithuanian Trade Association in Helsinki, and the Finnish-Lithuanian Chamber of Commerce in Vilnius for helping organizing this seminar. Okay, Finland. Finland is important trade partner for Lithuania, and bilateral trade exceeds 1.34 billion euros. And our exports to Finland in 2019 was 530 million euros, and we had almost 5% growth during last year. And I just checked the statistic, and the first quarter showed that we had the growth as well. And of course, the global situation may bring some changes, but we have to think how to keep the numbers stable and stable growth as well. And today's topic will be Finland in the past COVID-19 time. Every crisis brings challenges and some changes. And it's interesting, will be a room for new opportunities for Lithuania and Finland in Lithuania as well. Will Finnish-Lithuanian business cooperation grow or will face decline? These and other topics we will try to touch with the help of our Finnish colleagues. And today I want to introduce to all of you Mauri Kotamäki, a chief economist from Finnish Chamber of Commerce, Kari Härkönen, CIO of YardMate Association, and Andrew Surantas, Vice President Operations at the tapo Group. And after the presentations, you can send during the webinar the questions, and we will try to answer them after the presentations. And also, who wants the presentations, the slides, we can share with them upon request. And okay, we will start from Mauri. Mauri, the Chamber of Commerce, Finnish Chamber of Commerce, was established or founded or started in 16th century. The modern Chamber of Commerce is more than 100 years old. And your organization is uniting 21,000 small and medium enterprises. And what feeling do you have? How companies are reacting to the today's situation? Actually, in the beginning of crisis was some kind of race who will predict the worst scenario, and some economists were talking about 20% decline, but Finland never was so skeptical, and they had a little bit more optimism. I know that Finnish Chamber of Commerce is doing the survey of the companies every month, and what changes you see in the mood of the companies, and how Chamber sees all the situation. Mauri.
Yes, thank you. I shall share my screen now.
Yes, please.
Oh, sorry. All right. Hello all. Nice to be here and welcome on my part as well to our Mauri Kotamäki from the Finnish Chamber of Commerce. And yeah, very good introduction, I think, very good questions. And I will try to review the general situation in Finland briefly. I have prepared a half an hour presentation approximately. So obviously I cannot talk about everything in here. So if you have any further questions, please either ask here or you can also ask me later if you want to have more details about anything. So I will reply to you. So let's begin. Before the factual part, shortly about the Finland Chamber of Commerce. So the Finland Chamber of Commerce is coordinating the independent regional chambers of commerce in Finland. And there's 19 of them all around Finland, basically. We have approximately 21,000 companies members within our organization, and we have most of the big companies in Finland. We have a fair share of the middle-sized companies in Finland, but we also have a lot of small companies. So actually we have a nice distribution of all size companies within our organization, and we are actually I think we are the most representative organization in Finland in this sense. But there's more information in the website, so you can go check it out if you want to. So let's get to the COVID-19 part. So first of all, the general view of the epidemic at the moment, just to introduce the topic. So in the left-hand side, you will see the daily confirmed cases, population adjusted, and I have selected, not randomly, but a number of countries here close to Finland. So Latvia, Lithuania, Norway, Finland. As you can see, the epidemic is starting to die out at this point compared to 2 months ago, where was the peak of the epidemic. Same thing with Denmark, Estonia as well. There's variation, daily variation of the cases, but still the trend is clearly been downward for a long time at the moment. Well, Sweden is a bit different here, as you can see, and as you probably know, Sweden has adopted a different strategy for the COVID-19, and it looks pretty different from the other countries that I have depicted here. And well, maybe that's a topic for another seminar about Sweden, but it's clearly a different strategy that they have selected. In the right-hand side is maybe the even better representation of the situation of the crisis, which is the number of deaths to COVID-19, also population adjusted. And as you can, and by the way, as a side note, the y-axis is a logarithmic axis about the number of deaths, and x-axis is the time axis from the quote start of the epidemic in each country. Okay, so it seems that Latvia and Lithuania are at the lower trajectory than Norway, Estonia, Finland, which are rather somewhat close together in terms of deaths. Denmark is a bit higher. Maybe Denmark is it's closer to Europe. It's more open in that sense. So it's the graph is a little higher there, but still compared to Sweden, it's pretty different. So as you can see, Sweden it's still even slightly, I think, increasing the number of deaths compared to population. It's not leveled out as in other countries here, basically. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen in Sweden, and actually what kind of political implications it's gonna have, because I think there's a little bit of pressure at the moment towards the Tegel, the head epidemiologist, for instance, in terms of the strategy. So it's going to be interesting what's going to happen. So this is the general situation. I think that the most scary part is over, and now we are, at least in Finland, we are starting to open up the question, the discussion about what should we do in economic sense in the autumn. Maybe what should we do next year? What kind of measure should we take in order to get the debt level balanced again, and so forth. So, but the situation in Finland right now. So here are the economic forecasts for Finland for the year 2020. In the y-axis, you see the GDP growth for 2020, and in the x-axis, you can see the time when the forecast was released. And as you can see, this is of course completely normal, in the beginning of the year, when there was actually no knowledge of this epidemic in Finland or in Europe general. There was knowledge about it in China actually, and also in the Far East, but we didn't actually know what's going to happen in terms of Europe and about the pandemic. The economic forecast was around 1% in Finland. These are individual forecasters that have released the forecast. Even in February, in mid-February, there was close to 2%, 1.5% forecast on the Finnish GDP for 2020. But in March, things started to concretize slowly. And as you can see, slowly the forecasts are getting more pessimistic and pessimistic. And as time goes by, we go down, and the latest estimates for Finland are that approximately the GDP is going down approximately 6%. And this is, I could actually say that this is a consensus view. If you look at the forecasters, you can see the European Commission is close to that. The Finnish Minister of Finance is close to that. Bank of Finland is close to that. Also, Finnish individual research institutions are now close to that. So I would say the 6% mark is pretty good guess at this point what will happen to the Finnish GDP in 2020. Of course, as you know, forecasts are uncertain. We don't actually know until it's probably too late. But this is the best knowledge we have at this point for Finland. European Commission is making forecast as well, and what's good about European Commission is that it makes forecast for all European EU countries. And that's a good thing, because now we can do a little bit of comparison what the Commission thinks about the GDP growth. And in the left-hand side, these bars here, you can see GDP growth for the 6 countries I have taken here: Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia. And the y-axis is the GDP growth number that they have for 2020 in blue and 2021 in gray. And as you can see, I just discussed, Finland is it's estimated to be around 6% minus growth in 2020, and in 2021. Okay, who knows? I admit, but the best guess of the European Commission is 3.7%. So that's clearly actually higher than the growth rate has been in Finland for a long time. Actually, the potential GDP growth in Finland is estimated to be around 1%. So the structural GDP growth of Finland is around 1% per year. So that's 3.7% is clearly higher, and of course it's due to catch up. So if you lose a lot of GDP in 2020, you're going to catch up a little bit in the next year if everything goes well. Of course, we don't actually know if what's going to happen on the pandemic side, but if everything goes well, this is what's going to happen. You can compare it to other countries, Sweden, Denmark, Estonia, Lithuania. You can actually see, for instance, in Lithuania, I'm not an expert in Lithuania, but you can see the higher estimate on the forecast for 2020, 7.9, almost 8%. But the next year, 2021, is way higher as well. And as I read this, my guess would be that this is due to the flexibility of the economy of Lithuania, say, compared to Finland or Sweden. So Finland, for instance, I think the low number compared to other countries in 2021 is mostly due to the rigidities of the Finnish labor market, for instance, which makes the recovery a bit slower than in other countries which have maybe a different kind of setup in the labor market, or of course in the markets in general, but labor market is in terms of the recovery that one of the most important markets. So that's why I talk about labor market so much. So I think this is reflecting the rigidities, and it also extrapolates to Lithuania or Latvia or Estonia. Also Denmark, as we know, actually Denmark has pretty flexible. The flexicurity model is pretty flexible, and that's why the catch-up in the 2021 is estimated to be pretty high compared to, say, Finland. I think 3.7 is still pretty fine for Finland, and of course there's the other side as well. So the unemployment rate. So now I move to the right-hand side of this graph, which depicts the unemployment rate, and as you can see, the Finnish unemployment rate, which is at the moment, it's pretty good. It's lower than in a long time. 6.7 is very good. It's below the structural level of unemployment. So this is pretty good number for Finland at the moment. But it's gonna increase only about 1.5% in 2020 if we are to believe this forecast, and we have to, I guess. So not too much, I would say. That's pretty good when you compare to, say, Estonia. The estimated increase in unemployment rate is way higher, and that's also another side of the rigidity of the Finnish market. So actually, the unemployment rate may not go that high. We don't know actually yet, but it's possible at least. But on the other hand, the recovery once again here is slower compared to some other countries. Sweden is, I think, is in this sense pretty close to Finland, or Finland is close to Sweden, however you want to say it. Similar kind of labor market and flexibilities there. Maybe Sweden has a bit more flexibility there, but it's actually hard to tell. But this is kind of the scene in the GDP and unemployment rate. So in summary, in terms of Finland, this is not actually bad. I think this is okay. A bit more data on where we are at the moment. So here you can see this is registered data from Finland in the left-hand side, which shows all the registered unemployed that we have in each month from 2006 in x-axis. And okay, as you can see, and as you maybe know, 2012 to 2015 was pretty bad time in Finland in terms of GDP growth. Actually 3 years negative GDP growth and 1 year only small positive. So you can see here the increase in unemployment. But after 2015, so 16, 17, 18, 19, it's been better. and hence you see the decrease in unemployment rate and the number of unemployed in Finland. So that's pretty good. And as a side note, actually this data is pretty good in Finland. I think the registers are pretty good, and also the unemployment system is such that basically everyone is paid something at all times if you're unemployed. So we actually can see this is a good reflection of the unemployed. This is reliable data, I would say. And as you can see, typically we have like 250,000 unemployed persons each month, approximately. That's the number. So the crisis, what happened? The latest data is from I think April, and as you can see, the unemployment rate jumped to almost 17%. This is not the same as the labor force survey, the survey data that is comparable with other countries. This is the register data. So this number actually reflects reality, and it has increased. Now the question is why it has increased. The right-hand side here tells the story. So it is actually. Oh, sorry, I apologize. This is from May. This number is from May, actually. Yeah. So the increase in unemployment comes from the Finnish layoff system. So there's this temporary layoff system that with kind of in a flexible sense, this is actually one of the good parts of the Finnish labor market in terms of flexibility. So somewhat flexible, in a flexible manner, you can lay off people for a given amount of time, and they will go to be on an unemployment insurance, and it's so that's a good adjustment mechanism for the companies in this sort of crisis. And what we see here, basically all the increase in the unemployment are temporary layoffs. So these are unemployed people that actually may not be unemployed after 3 months. So this is kind of good news. I mean, the 16.5 looks bad, but actually it's temporary layoffs. So maybe actually it's not that bad. It can be, if everything goes well, all these people will go back to work and we will continue business as usual. Well, that's probably not going to happen quite as smoothly as that. But in a sense, the situation is decent in this sense. So the 16.5 is a little bit more pessimistic than the reality actually is. What actually happens remains to be seen. There's good data. The Ministry of Economic Affairs actually releases weekly data on these temporary layoffs, and we can monitor this data pretty closely. And that I think that's a very good thing, the open data. Well, the other side of the crisis is, or the point of where one could be a little bit scared, is bankruptcies. So when the crisis started, our message was that we have to do this and this measure because we want to stop increasing of unemployment and increasing of bankruptcies. We don't want a wave of bankruptcies, and that's why we have to do certain measures by the government. Well, if we look at the bankruptcies data, we actually we see almost nothing. So companies are doing, actually, in terms of bankruptcies, it's okay. There's not many bankruptcies so far due to the COVID-19 crisis. Actually, what is interesting, that the data shows that there are kind of, so in the left-hand side here are bankruptcies. It's the blue that shows the number of bankruptcies each week, and here are the on the right-hand side, the red graph is the change from previous year. So as you can see, there's like 1% change, so that's nothing. As you can see, actually before the COVID-19 crisis, there was a peak in bankruptcies. Also, there was actually a peak downwards in bankruptcies. So it could be a data anomaly as well. But what I think it's interesting that something actually happened before COVID-19 crisis. But with during the COVID-19 crisis, I don't really see any data on bankruptcies so far, and that's good news, of course. That's very good. The flip side is there's not renewal of the company sector neither. So kind of the bad companies are not going bust neither. So that's not the best thing. If we want productivity, we also want some bankruptcies as well. So productivity will increase not too much, but in like a good amount. We don't see that neither here. So it's hard to interpret if this is a good thing or a bad thing. But what we see, there's no wave of bankruptcies. On the right hand side here, we see the consumer confidence. So this is not the firm side anymore, the company side anymore. This is the consumer side. How do people see what's going on here? The latest data is from May, and what we actually saw is the most terrible kind of month was April. So in April, the consumer confidence was estimated to go below what happened during the financial crisis. So kind of the consumers really did kind of see their situation in a grim way, but actually it has been recovering already. Consumer confidence increased in May. It's still actually quite low, but there was a considerable increase, as you can see, from almost 14 to -9. So that's good. That's good. Consumer confidence is recovering at the moment. I won't go through all of these because I have a lot of data here, but I will quickly flip by this. So card payment data from actually Finnish banks are releasing this. It also shows actually good things. So there was a big drop in the card payment data, and then now during the latest weeks it's been increasing again. That's good news of late. One thing I want to show, this is kind of funny, but actually not. It is not. Alcohol consumption in Finland. As we know, apparently data knows it as well. The Finnish people like alcohol, and alcohol consumption actually didn't really go much down during the crisis. If something, the trend is positive here. It's kind of funny, but actually alcohol is also a problem. So that's in that sense, it's actually not that funny. But we can see it from the card payment data of Finnish banks. This is from S Group Bank, which is about 10% of the card payments. Housing markets, so far, so good, but there are like the number of transactions has been going down heavily in the recent in April, which is the latest data. Price index, not much happening there. What you can see in the left-hand side data, which is index of the price index, the red one is the price index in the greater Helsinki area, and the violet one is the price index in other parts of the country. As you can see, there is this structural change already going on, that the prices are increasing in the close to Helsinki, and the prices are going slowly down in other parts of the city. This is a long trend. This is no news, but it has nothing to do with COVID-19. I go forward because I'm running out of time. My last graph here is the turnover estimate of main industries. And what you can see here actually is that the turnover seems to be going down in April. I think April is actually the last data point here. Total industry 6.5. This is like the first estimate of turnover. So this is not the best data yet, but this is the first estimate. The violet here is the service sector, other services. Wholesale services is going down. But actually, interestingly, construction, we don't see much action there. But that's due to the long lags of the construction sector. You actually have stuff going on already. You have deals made already that been now taken to action. So there's not much going on in that sector at the moment. But it's interesting that for reasons probably out of COVID-19, it has been increasing in this year, the construction turnover or the estimate of it. So not a terribly bad news in there. So I talked about the government support measures. I think actually my opinion is that the government has been pretty okay. And that's a little bit surprising actually, because when this government started, the expectation was that it's not going to be very company positive to say that. For instance, when there was no mentions about the corporate taxation in the government program, we thought that this was a great thing. It was a win to us because that means that there's no tax hikes in the corporate sector. So in that sense, I think the government has been doing pretty good job. Of course, they could have done some things better, faster, larger, but in general, I think it's not a bad job that they have done. Here I have listed some government support measures that they have directed to companies. This is not the full list. I have all the links here as well, so you can see I think almost all of them are in English. So you can go check out the details. There's a lot of details as well in each of these cases. But to go through this quickly, first thing was to change the temporary layoff rules. So as I showed, most of the increase in unemployment is temporary layoffs. Okay, and they used to have, or we still have, but it's been temporary changed. Long waiting times and long times to negotiate the actual layoffs. What happened is it was changed, and the parties in quite a short notice were able to negotiate changes in these temporary layoff rules that firms could actually utilize them pretty quickly. So basically in 5 days is the notice period right now, and also the duration of the negotiations is also 5 days. It used to be way longer. So this was very important adjustment mechanism and source of flexibility to Finnish firms. Very good, I think. This was very important. Unemployment benefits to self-employed persons. So this wasn't possible before. Now it is temporarily. Pension contributions were down 2.6 percentage points, which is a lot. We're talking about €1 billion or more here. That's a lot of money. There's more flexibility in taxation. So, for instance, in VAT taxation, the tax authorities are giving more flexibility in the payment times, for instance, in this sense, and that's important thing as well. There was like this more targeted measure to the food and beverage service businesses. It was a direct aid to that sector because actually the service sector was hit the most in this crisis. Business Finland is funding small and medium enterprises that are up to 250 employees, but not the smallest ones. So if you have below 6 employees, you are actually going to the ELY center, which is like this economic center governing various things in areas, basically, so you can get help from there. And these are direct subsidies to the firms. Business Finland, for one, is giving development aid to firms, which is also, I think, although it's flagged as development, it's basically direct aid to many firms. And then the Eli Center is giving a little bit smaller situation analysis or development measures to firms from 10,000, from 0 to 100,000 is basically the amount of money that they are giving to one company. And lastly, and this is the final one and the most fresh one, there's a new form of support to businesses to cover costs. And basically it's fixed costs and salary costs that this aid is towards. And it's not a law yet. It's being prepared at the moment, but we pretty much know the details already. And it's gonna be such that you compare your fixed cost and salary cost to that of last year or some other previous time if you don't have last year's data, and then there will be like this depending on how your costs and turnover has changed, you will get a certain amount of money from the government. It is the case though that the other forms of subsidies will be deducted from this new form of support. So you can't get like all of these at the same time. So that's kind of wise as well. So you can basically get only a certain money in total. So that's gonna be I think good subsidy, and it's a good form of support to businesses. So as you can see, a lot of stuff going on. My time is starting to be up, so 2 more slides. The fourth additional budget was just given, 5.5 billion, a big one. Remember, this is additional budget, so this is additional money to the budget. So in terms of Finland, that's a lot of money. The Finnish GDP is 240 billion euros in 2019. So 5.5 billion is a good amount of money for fourth additional budget. What it means though is that the overall central government net borrowing, so the state is taking debt, about 19 billion euros this year. So that's a lot of money. The debt ratio is going up from about 60% to about 70% due to these measures. So that's already giving a good discussion about the economic terms of what are good support measures and so on. All right. As Audrey mentioned before, we have made these surveys. I don't have time to go through them now. I apologize. That you can read them afterwards from this slide, and I can also send you a more accurate figures, which we also have in English if you are interested with all the questions there. But the general, I think I will use this slide. The general kind of picture is that the situation in the company sector is pretty grim at the moment. There are huge declines in certain sectors. For instance, the restaurant sector is the most prominent example. There are huge turnover declines there, but slowly the situation is getting a little bit better, it seems. And that's, of course, a good news. The critical point is the situation getting better quickly enough so we can avoid bankruptcies? That's the critical question, and that's what we are checking and monitoring at the moment. So to conclude, things are getting better. Finland is, I think, similar to many other countries in the big picture, but there are a few exceptions. In Finland, there's a lot of pensioners. 1.5 million individuals. Remember, 5.5 million people live in Finland, so that's 27% of population are pensioners. What it actually means is they don't see any actually change in their income, so they are consuming as before, kind of. Okay, they can move as much as before, so they are actually saving, but in terms of income, pensioners are a good automatic stabilizer in Finland. Okay, high social security here. That's one thing. Somewhat rigid labor market, so we have to think about the recovery. Maybe we need government more than in other places because of the rigidity. We need to be more give more stimulus, maybe. And last thing, this is the last point, the export sector. It usually reacts with a lag. So actually, we don't expect the export sector to be reacting fully yet. And that's a critical point and possibly a problem as well, because it is possible that in the autumn, the export sector will react and negatively. And that will be kind of another negative shock to Finland, because Finland is producing a lot of these large industrial investment goods, which react with the lag. So that's a possible problem. We have to monitor that in very, very, very closely. But with these words, things are getting better. I will end here. Thank you all on my behalf.
Yeah, thank you, Mauri. The things are optimistic, and looks like we can get back to the new normal. And I have a question from myself. It's we know that all Nordic countries are subcontracting a lot from China, and there are a lot of Finnish companies having operations in China. Do you see any trends, possibilities that will be some change? You know, the companies will come back more to the region, as some global consultancy firms are predicting?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and as you have told me, I think there are good reasons to be expecting at least that companies will be checking out the near shore more carefully than before. At this point, I think it's hard to say what the COVID-19 will do to these trends. So it's really hard to say, because we are still at the midst of the crisis. So we don't know where the trends will go exactly. We don't know how the offshore Far East countries say are going to react in general sense. What's going to happen in South America, for instance? The crisis is big in there. If there are, and when there are actually Finnish businesses in there, what's gonna happen to them? Where are they gonna look at if things go bad in there? It's really hard to say at this point. But in general, I think this will at least kind of wake up people and also give a little bit of a signal and buzz to corporate decision makers. And they will have to think about these things again, because if uncertainty increases in, say, China or Brazil or some other country, South Africa, whatever, USA, they are gonna have to rethink their strategies, and I think nearshoring is pretty obvious strategy to think about in that context.
Yeah, thanks, Mauri. And one question from the audience. We have almost 100 people watching us. And Jovita Kuprelienė from Vamesa company. And Vamesa is one of the biggest pork suppliers in Lithuania. Finland was as a target market for them. And right now, as we see the Horeca, all those tourism, restaurants, hotels were hit the most. What do you see the future for Horeca sector?
That's a very good question. Yes, like I mentioned in the presentation, the tourism sector, the restaurant sector, the service sector in general, but especially tourism sector, it's been hit first, and it's been hit hard. There are actually companies that have lost 100% of their turnover during the crisis, and there's actually a lot of them. So it's really hard to tell what's going to happen, because at the same time the government has also directed measures to the tourism sector. So there are subsidies and certain other helps to the companies. So which part of them will survive? What's going to happen to the small ones? Is the sector going to be more centered to the winners of this crisis, and then maybe the small players will, some of them will drop out? We don't actually know yet, but I don't really like to do predictions. But in this case, I think the months ahead are gonna be pretty hard, because the international tourism is not going to be what it was a year ago. So it will be hard. I think that should be said in the open. How hard, it remains to be seen, and what will happen 1 year from now. It's possible that actually who knows, the turnover could be bigger year from now. Who knows? But in the very short run, I think that there will be some sort of restructuring and some problems, of course.
Thank you, Mauri, for your insights, for sharing your views with us. And now I would like to move to Kari, to the YardMate. And the shipyard sector, shipbuilding, is one of the most important sector in the Finnish economy. And approximately over 1,000 Lithuanians are working in the Turku area, in the shipyards, as posted workers. It means the cooperation in this area goes very well between Lithuania and Finland. Before the crisis in the last year, I heard that all the three major shipyards, Rauma, Myers, and the Helsinki shipyard, they had orders for the 5 years. And this sector is more static than automotive, for example. We have Kari, who is leading the YardMate Association. It's a consortium that unites roughly 100 companies who works with shipyards. And as I read in the website, that consortium is announcing that we can open doors and create business opportunities to all our members in the marine industry. Kari, please tell us.
Thank you. Yes, before I start my slideshow, I had an idea a few years ago. I come from a human resources field. I make matches between professionals and companies, and I took that to B2B world in order to present the right company, subcontractor for the right big client, like a cruise lines and yards. So what I did was that I collected number of marine companies and companies who had services to offer for the marine field. I collected them together, and that's how YardMate was formed. The main aim is to cooperate actively and package services and products together if needed, so that as a consortium we are stronger than an individual company. To put it shortly. I will go to my presentation.
Please.
Can everybody see it?
Yes.
So, under this, or surrounding this.
Yeah, please go to the slide mode. Yes.
Surrounding this wheel, we have subcontractors divided in different sectors. Little bit about how we ended up there. So we provide possibilities for subcontractors to join not just yards but also cruise lines. I will explain later why cruise lines are so important target and connection for us. So my background, it's good to know at this point because as told, I created personnel evaluation methods for matching competencies. And my background is from electric and computers field. I started in mid-90s to work for Ericsson in intelligent network services department, was responsible for usability issues, etc. Then I moved on to Helsinki Stock Exchange. I was running projects that led to combine Helsinki Stock Exchange with Stockholm Stock Exchange. And beside that, I increased my competence with the psychology and cognitive science studies in order to learn how to really match the professional competence with target needs, like what company is really looking for. So that is the background which led to found YardMate in a marine field, and what I needed was the connections and substance knowledge about marine. So that's where the YardMate came in. That we have this surrounding supportive network of each one of the shipbuilding section, including human resources. If any of our member companies on that, any of those other fields need more human resources, welders, electricians, project managers, designers, they will get them through our own network. So we have a close connections with each other. So a little bit now about.
Sorry, Kari, we see the first slide. Maybe you can turn the slide mode and then we be with you. It's in a bottom, this little. Yes, we see on the first slide. It's you have to turn to the slide mode.
I am in a smart slide mode, so I understand why it's.
Share the screen.
Can you see now what I'm?
We can see you now.
Well, I did. Share screen, yes. Can you now see the slide? Marine industry numbers?
Yes, we can see this slide now. But yeah.
I don't understand. I have a full screen here.
Yeah, but you okay? We let you know. tell us when you're changing the slide.
Okay, can you see marine industry in Finland employs about 31,000 people and 1,100 companies. Is that what you can see here?
Yes.
You see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, which is interesting is that, for example, in Meyer Turku, they have registered that roughly 1,800 companies are building one ship anyway. So there's a quite huge number of companies involving for building just one ship. The marine field turnover total in Finland is 9 billion euros. With the export percentage over 90. As you probably know, we have 10 yards in Finland, and I will concentrate more of those, the bigger ones, Meyer, Turku, Helsinki Shipyard, and Rauma RMC. These figures are before the pandemic. Of course, we don't have exact figures what they now, but I talked to just recently, a couple of days ago, with each of those main yards directors in Meyer, Turku, Helsinki, and Rauma, and give their message, what I can say at this stage. Can everybody see now it's properly?
No, we still see marine industry in Finland slide. It's
But you see all the 5 items there.
Yes.
Good. Can you see yard status Finland now?
No.
Well, what can I say? I have everything here. When I put presentation mode, what happens? We need to be then on, and let's not waste time, and let's talk about this. I'll be in this mode right now.
Okay.
I've been in hundreds and hundreds of Zoom meetings during the past 1.5 months, and I have had never problem with this one. But Meyer Turku, I contacted them. So right now, of course, due to the pandemic, there are now new orders to be seen. No new deals will be made right now, but they, as everybody knows, the current project are allocated to 2025. Now, before the pandemic, the plan was to double the production power in order to meet all those project schedules what comes to until 2025, but that's now a little bit of question mark, of course, how to continue and how to resource that much. So there are negotiations ongoing, so there are not exact information about how it will go, but the main point they wanted to highlight is that the current production power that is huge anyway. I mean, it's stronger than ever before in Turku. So what the pandemic might affect is that they don't do resource increasement as much as planned before, but the ships are still built pretty much as planned. Perhaps some delay regarding the target year. I don't know for that. Nobody knows for it, that exactly. But there will be needs in the future as well. And as the normal shipbuilding subcontracting mode has been so far, it still continues, so that the ship will be built by roughly 80% by their subcontractor. So that's why we are in an important role to bring them new subcontractors as well. So there is, of course, need. They have good experiences from Baltic countries, and there is an interest to explore new companies, new subcontractors for every shipbuilding field. Okay, what comes to Rauma, RMC, they did tell me that it has not actually affected that much for their production. Even the 14 days quarantine will be cut off after mid-June. And they are always interested in hearing in new subcontractors. So we have a good connections with each of these yards, decision makers, and we do the filtering, because there are a huge amount of subcontractors and companies who are willing to offer services. So the problem with each of these big customers and shipyards and cruise lines is that it's hard to filter and find those that they really need, because if there are hundreds or thousands of contacts, they will not find time to answer and explore everyone's capabilities. So that's where we come to picture and help them to filter the potential ones. Rauma RMC especially mentioned that how to approach them in a big business perspective is to try to put and package the service as fixed price as possible. Of course, there will be some hour rate plans as well, but they should be more like a side and extra work, but the main service and production should be able to be packaged for a fixed price. That's always better for them to form an opinion about the subcontractor service. Cost efficiency, importance that you stay with the plant schedule, quality, of course, are important criteria. Okay, Helsinki shipyard, really optimistic. Talked to the chief operating officer. Said that they really have no pandemic affection, except that they are working in a remote mode. And the estimation actually was, what comes to Lithuania, was that in August already they may need more resources for all of those different fields what comes to shipbuilding. So we'll be in regular contact with them. Of course, in July, traditionally, Finland is almost closed, as everybody knows. But there might be that now that we have been pretty much closed during April and May, maybe there are some businesses happening during July as well. We'll see that. Okay, and you'll see cruise line status. We've been talking to all the major cruise lines here, but Royal Caribbean is the most closest one to us at this stage. According to them, very optimistic attitude as well. Just got last night phone call from Royal Caribbean director who coordinates operations between Finland and Miami. He said everything continues pretty much normally what comes to their plans. He was a little bit considering about what US markets will affect to cruise line operations in general, but mainly his message was very optimistic. They have a very good experience in Baltic countries, especially the hull productions in Estonia and Lithuania, Klaipėda. So we'll follow the process with them on a regular basis, and we present them a new innovations every time we find a suitable company that may have the, let's say, killer idea that a cruise line will accept, because the yards, they don't do anything without cruise line making the decisions about order. So I will explain about that a bit more. So the message from the cruise line field is that they are interested in solutions. First of all the solutions products that are related to engine part, passenger part, everything that goes to these main three value what they want to express, that they are energy and environment savings. They need to be cost effective. They are really careful about how the service will bring profit per square meter what comes to, for example, surface of the ship, and that they are ecological long-term solutions. Cruise lines usually have a bit different perspective compared to yachts, because yachts they operate perhaps a bit more short-term basis what comes to, for example, energy and environment and ecological solutions, and the payback time. Cruise lines, they are very considering long-term the business in general, and what kind of message they send to public, because they want to really emphasize the environment friendly concept, and so they pay back time for the new service could very well be more years than months. Let's say 3 to 5 years time frame if the service will turns to profitable and it's energy saving. It would be interesting concept to present to cruise line instead of yard. Few examples what we have presented. So the process goes so that we search for potential companies that meets those energy efficiency values, and we arrange workshops where cruise lines superintendents and directors, all the needed decision makers on the same table. We've done that for several companies. Here are just few examples. Artwave, who makes artificial waves. If we have time, I can show you an example of that because it's quite impressive. Then we have a pump manufacturer. It actually comes from New Jersey, US. Their specialty is patented composite technology, which has similar qualities as iron and metal steel parts, except they are 6 times lighter and they don't corrode on the seawater. So that was totally new that we didn't have in this side of the globe. But they have good references on US. So we have arranged those companies possibility to start negotiations with the cruise lines. And through that way, it also goes to yards. So we have actually set up workshops where the decision makers from both cruise lines and yard in the same table. And because there are also these engineers and superintendents, those meetings are not just having few PowerPoint slides and coffee, because we really talk about the real issue and technology, because no decision maker, they don't make decisions without their own engineer, superintendent, really are convinced about that this is the technology they should use. Okay, we have also one patented company that has brought a brilliant turbine technology idea regarding fuel consumption. And this is still under investigation about how we proceed with actually not just in marine field, but now we have heard that actually we have started negotiate with the aviation industry as well, because we are talking about huge solutions for the future. Let's say if a 15% fuel consumption can be done, it's a huge thing, not just for the marine, but also aviation industry. How much time we have, Andres?
It's 5-10 minutes mostly, you know.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try to save some time for questions. So YardMate, how this everything goes to which related to YardMate is a cooperation channel for all the cooperation parties, subcontractors, and companies who already work for shipping industry, or companies who have services for the shipping industry, and they are not yet there in the subcontracting chain. We help them to get there. Plus the third type of member companies, they are companies who provide all the supportive services. Let's say we need to bring the whole family from Lithuania to Finland. We'll arrange all the integration service for them, starting from accommodation and etc. So those kind of companies are also needed to be our members. Okay, when you go to YardMate website, you should surf them around and see all those areas and think about if you know companies who could fit in some of those. And a member company can also put into several sections as well. It depends on what kind of services they provide. What we offer to our members is that first of all, we have this active consortium, and we meet together. We try to keep that on a monthly basis. Every time when possible, we ask also external keynote speaker from the customer side. Here are a few examples of who have joined our usually breakfast meetings and share the news about their industry, their needs, and something that you cannot always read from the newspaper. For example, head of outfitting from Meyer, Rolls-Royce directors, Rauma, marine construction people, etc. We try to bring valuable keynotes as well. Beside that, you are in open forum where you can actually connect and create a relationship with other members. Okay, members, they will of course get contacts to other members and their decision makers. Every member has an own profile page and is of course gets visibility once we get as a consortium. And our new benefit is the free conference facilities for which is quite close to capital Helsinki. It's a big auditorium, 200 plus seats. Actually, it's a movie theater. It's a classic movie theater. So it's conference with the better seats and bigger screen, and all the supporting services. So we help to get into marine in general. And if any questions, our members can always contact us, our office. Okay, we have a request for code channel as well there, and a lot of other services for our members. Here is just an example of this New Jersey composite pump company. On the left side, you see the composite part compared to bronze part, which has been in a marine influence for 2 years in the marine water. So that's the reason, one big reason to use composite there. Now, at the end, I could show one major innovation that actually led us in the first place to get into negotiation with the Royal Caribbean, was this innovation regarding waves. Can you see this?
Yes.
Wave? Let's see how big we can make this picture. You see only the top one. Okay, so I turn off then the PowerPoint.
But Kari, we will share the presentation with the people, and they can click the links and they can see more information about this invention.
That would be beautiful video to show right now. It's a 1 minute video. Do you have it there? But perhaps we go to question part now.
No, we don't see. Let's move further.
Okay. So, any questions?
Yeah, Kari, thank you. And looks like shipyard sector is going ahead. It's moving with some shakes and challenges, but the new future looks like normal. New normal looks like a really normal. And
there will be new normal, as everybody can guess. But we are optimistic. For example, I have 3 companies, and we have created so many new innovations that we are stronger than ever after this pandemic.
Oh, great to hear.
And I believe that the message also comes from the marine field. So I want to be optimistic. What your questions regarding Chinese cooperation?
Yes, yes. I really want to ask this.
Yeah. Well, this what I'm going to say is not related to pandemic in anyhow, because what comes to our cooperation principles here so far. How would I put it? In YardMate, I have got so many requests from Chinese companies. So far, I have politely turned down each of them. Why? Personally, I'm more interested in doing nearshore. And what I discuss with yards and cruise lines here, the message is that they've been very satisfied when I told them that we have concentrated on Finnish, Baltics, and we have some companies from other countries as well, as I told this company from New Jersey, at least to start with. So the message has been that the nearshoring and Baltics is pretty much a priority. I don't know if that answers anyhow to your question.
Yeah, it's a good trend. It's great to hear. It means more opportunities for Lithuanians, and they have to be just a little bit more active and approach you.
Yeah, and that
we have one question from Linus. I don't know it's for you or not, but what is the Finnish government altitude to renewable wind energy? It's there is a project, probably offshore projects for windmills, you know, where the shipyards are involved.
Renewable, what did you say?
Renewable wind energy.
Wind energy.
Yes.
Well, what comes to all the energy solutions, including the wind energy, as a YardMate, we are interested in cooperating with them because we evaluate the energy sector as a whole and then provide the best possible suitable innovations. I'm just answering from our perspective and the message that we have got from the cruise line sector.
Yeah, I see. And also people are asking about possible cooperation with you. Probably they are free to shoot you an email and establish the links.
Yes. Yeah, there are also all the contact information at the end of my presentation that you will probably share to everyone. One important thing is to link in via LinkedIn as well.
Yes.
That's very important. It's nowadays it's one of the major connection important part to start close cooperation as well through LinkedIn. I have more than 11,000 followers there, which in a Finnish scale is a pretty okay amount, and it has brought a lot of new companies and B2B connections for us.
Super, Kari.
One important thing, I just talked to my colleague from Turku World Trade Center, who's one of the operative director there. He sent the message. He couldn't join here this morning, but he sent the message that first of all they cooperate closely with YardMate, and that they can help to connect basically all the companies which are in the area, and they especially wanted to mention the Shift exhibition happening that collects companies not just from the local area, but they also are connected through webinar. So I can send you audios about more information about that Shift, which is a good way to network here locally and through webinars as well. And they, as a World Trade Center, are also interested in helping to get Finnish delegations to visit Lithuania.
Super. And I'm interested to bring Lithuanian delegation to Turku. We can do exchange, you know. looking forward for that.
We can arrange the first delegation on August, I believe.
Super. Thank you, Kari. And now I would like to move to Peiko Group. And I want to thank Andrius for joining us from Germany. And Peiko, it's a company making money from concrete. It's a very interesting. And the company is older than I am, operates in 11 countries. You have production facilities and sales in 33 countries. It's all across the globe. And you employ almost 2,000 people globally. And the construction is one of the sector what will be hit by the crisis from one side, but from another side, the governments are talking about stimulus packages, about infrastructure projects, about the public projects, and looks like that your constructions are always doing great. You know. Please, Anders, how you see this?
Yes, hello, everybody. Very short comment. We are not making money from the concrete itself. We are making money from the components used in the concrete structures. So, yeah, my name is Andrius Urantas. I'm responsible for the global operations in Peiko Group. And I would like to start the presentation very shortly, giving the overview who we are, what we do, and then turn a little bit into the main topic, how we faced the corona crisis and what challenges we had, and what are our expectations from the coming future. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
In the full screen mode?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So as you can see from the map, we are still very much Europe-based company, originated in Finland, family-driven business. But also, as you can see in a map, we are in the last years we have expanded our sales network and also our operations to the North America, to Gulf area, South Africa, Asia Pacific, and Australia. Today we have 11 factories and 33 sales units, more than 1,800 people working for us worldwide. And last year turnover we reached 231 million euros. Who are our main customers? So our main customers are construction companies worldwide, investors whom we are helping to plan their buildings more efficiently to get a better payback of their investments. Then another very big and important group we collaborate and cooperate together are architects, structural engineers, designers of the buildings, and of course precast factories who are producing precast concrete elements and using our products. And our main product segments are 4, and here I would like very shortly present those, not going into the details, but in order you get the overview. So precast connections. Here we speak about products which are used by the precast concrete factories, which are put into the concrete structures and which are enabling to have fast assembly, fast erection of the concrete elements at the building sites. Then another group is cast in situ connections. Here our customers are mostly construction companies, and our products here are used in cast in situ structures directly in the building sites. Then the third group is delta beam and the delta beam frame. Here we speak about project-specific steel structures, about delta beams, which are enabling to have white spaces in the buildings, which are enabling to save the building heights and gives very big architectural freedom. And the last but not the least segment is wind energy applications. And here we speak about our own know-how of the onshore wind tower foundations. So we are designing and supplying wind tower foundations for the onshore projects. Mostly at this moment we are operating in Nordic countries. There are the biggest markets, so Finland, a very big market, Sweden and Norway, but already some projects we are selling into the Baltic countries as well. And now I'm turning to the main topic, what has happened when the pandemic arrived to Europe. Maybe I would like first to share a bit of the feelings when we were dealing and communicating with our Chinese colleagues in the middle of January, in the beginning of February. We were kind of thinking that time that started there and it will end there. Actually, we were not too much thinking that the pandemic will arrive to Europe, but it did, and we got, I would say, quite a strong shock therapy out of that. So when the pandemic arrived to Europe, Peiko had a record high order book. So all our factories were fully loaded for the next 6 months. And naturally for us was very important to keep our factories running, to keep our people safe in order we are able to continue our deliveries. Then the next thing, what we saw in the very first weeks of the pandemic in Europe, here I'm speaking about basically second half of March, was that logistics within the Europe started to struggle. We saw very long waiting queues to cross the borders between European countries, so Poland, Germany, Lithuania, Poland, Germany, Austria, Italy, Switzerland, and so on. So that raised quite a high concerns for us how the supply chain network will be developing. And also we saw that quite extremely increased sea freight times from China to Europe. We are having a factory in China and we are manufacturing some certain products in China and delivering those to Europe. So we had quite a high concerns that this supply chain will be struggling. Luckily, we had enough of the stock levels and we were able to compensate that with our stocks. Then another very interesting phenomena what we faced during the first weeks was that we received like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, we received record high order income from our customers. And the only explanation we could find here was that also our customers were very much concerned, and they were simply securing their own supply chains by ordering products and by making sure that they have the goods in order to continue their business. Then one more cold shower, which we have been facing basically at the end of March, was raw material supply. We have a couple of vendors in Italy where we are purchasing specific raw materials, and we were extremely lucky to get those deliveries and those loadings to happen just before the country lockdown. And in order to keep our factories running and our people safe, we have published quite a strict guidelines how to prevent the virus and how to make sure that our factories remain operational. So here I'm speaking about quite extensive disinfections, regular disinfections. Here I'm speaking about gaps between the shift change when the shift is ending and when the new shift is coming. We made sure that those people are not meeting each other. We speak about regular temperature control of our people, and so on and so on. Continuing a little bit what we saw in April and May. So we have been forced to close our factory in Russia, in St. Petersburg, for 1 week. That was a direct order by the Russian president. Very similar situation we faced in the US, in state Pennsylvania, and only with the special permissions we were allowed to continue operations there. Heavy lockdowns paralyzed whole Gulf area. We have a brand new factory built, which we had a grand opening in the beginning of this year. So now operations in the Gulf area are totally frozen, and we are on a survival mode over there. What was a little bit positive in April and in May, that we started to see that China is actually recovering, and China is gaining the market share in the local market, and let's say, the local sales are starting up. So that was a very good news. And also logistics, what I mentioned in the previous slide, logistics in Europe stabilizes, so no more any issues here. During April and during May, we started to see that there are postponements from the customer side. Either those were due to the corona cases in the building sites, or that was related in some countries that there was simply not enough of the manpower, of the labor on the construction sites. And those postponements naturally meant for us lower invoicing figures. Then also turbulences in the currency exchange rates, especially Russian ruble was affected. But here, I would say that we are benefiting from this situation because we have a factory in St. Petersburg. We are buying raw materials in rubles. We are manufacturing products there, and then we are sending those to Nordics. So from that situation, from the weak ruble, actually today we are benefiting. And naturally, we're starting to see more and more, I would say each week, more and more tough competition in all of the markets we are operating. And the last point here is that our sales unit still remained rather optimistic during this crisis period, but however, real invoicing figures are by some 15 to 30% lower compared to the budget. So that's the effect what we face. So what were the implemented actions? So immediately, already in the second half of March, we understood that this is emergency mode. We started to make regular management meetings, even twice per week, online, in order to follow up the situation, in order to follow up the numbers, the cash collection, and things like that. Whereas before we had only once per month our management meetings. In parallel, we also started to have regular meetings with absolutely all of the PECO unit leaders worldwide. The main purpose was to increase the communication. That was very important and still important. And basically to keep the pulse, what's happening in each of the individual markets where we are present. Like mentioned before, continued the focus on the keeping our factories and people safe. I'm very happy that up to today, we don't have any virus cases identified. We also implemented so-called Kurzarbeit. We as a PECO Group organization, since the beginning of May, we are working 4 days per week and very much focusing on the fixed costs to be ready for the autumn time. And naturally, all planned investments we put on hold. Various other cost-saving initiatives in other PECO units are ongoing. And continuing very high focus on the overdue receivables, cash collection. So those things are now even more, let's say, on the flashlight than before. And the last, but definitely not the least, and very successful thing what we started to do in Payco were internal and also external customer-orientated webinars. As we were not able to travel, as we were not able to meet our customers face-to-face like before, so that was the only effective way how to keep the contact with our customers. So those webinars really worked very well. We think so, and we are planning to continue. Yes, market outlook and expectations from the rest of the year. So here, basically, I would say that nobody has a crystal ball. There are existing various kind of analysis, statistics, and forecastings what will happen, but actually nobody can really say precisely what will happen, when it will happen, and our customers are equally confused. It's not too much predicting the future, trying to survive in the shorter term. We started to face situations when even existing contracts are pushed to be renegotiated by the customers in order to get pricing down. That's also a very strong signal. When we speak about the amount of the inquiries, we see that those are still coming in, but we also see that there are many tenders which are just running up because of the budgeting purposes. And the real execution is very much a question when it will start. We also feel that residential construction likely to slow down in Nordics, and much more severe slowdown will be happening in the Baltic countries. And purely from our organization perspective, especially foggy remains the last quarter of this year. Up to that time, we are still pretty much loaded due to the corona crisis, due to the postponements at the customer sites, on the construction sites. So all of those deliveries are also moving forward, and we will be pretty much loaded and pretty much running well till the Q4. And in the background, naturally, we are preparing ourselves for various scenarios, even for the longer downturn scenario. So here we are planning possible actions on the factory capacity adjustments, on the supply chain network adjustments, even on the fixed cost decrease. But those decisions we are planning to execute based on the real need after the summer holidays and during the autumn time. So that's it from my side, and looking forward for your questions.
Thank you, Andrus. And I don't see the questions from the audience, but I have one. Anyway, everyone is expecting that the government will do these stimulus packages, and they will start some big infrastructure projects, construction of some public facilities, and it will be some work for you and other construction companies, to keep them alive, even residential, if residential construction will slow down, Do you see the possibilities that the Lithuanian construction companies may join those projects and may do the subcontracting in Finland?
I think everything is possible, but at the same time, I see, knowing Finnish market already for many years, I see that Finnish market is rather conservative, and to enter it, it's not so easy. This cannot be done in a month or two. There has been done a lot of homeworks in order to be ready to enter the market. So here I'm speaking about understanding the local legislation. Here I'm speaking about various approvals, receiving various kind of certifications, and so on and so on. So I think it's possible, but that's not easy. It's I would say that much more Lithuanian construction companies are successfully operating nowadays in Sweden, even in Norway, than in Finland. But everything is possible.
Yeah, because I was a commercial attaché in Sweden and Norway, and the share of our exports in this construction sector is pretty big in services and construction materials. And I was very surprised to see that there is a very little in Finland. And I see something interesting going on here. Either we don't understand, either there are no opportunities, you know. But thanks for explanation. And okay, I thank you, Andrus, and I wish Peiko all good. And I would like to thank again to all our speakers, Mauri Kotamäki, the Chief Economist from Finnish Chamber of Commerce, Kari Härkönen, he is a CEO of YardMate Consortium, and Andrus Surantas, Vice President Operations from Peiko Group. And thank you everyone for participating in today's webinar, and we hope that you have heard useful advice from our businesses, and follow Enterprise Lithuania's social media and web page for future webinars. And thanks again, Suli and Finnish Lithuanian Chamber of Commerce. If you are not a members of these organizations yet, please do not miss opportunity. And thank you again to everyone, and stay safe and healthy. Bye.